N7 Day 2025 is over and we have plenty to unpack, including a new poster and some Mike Gamble tweets. So let's get into it. As expected, we got the usual blog post that reconfirmed Mass Effect 5 is indeed still in development, despite EA going from a publicly traded company to a private one. That reassures me and many others, since we were all concerned about the possibility of the new owners selling or shutting down BioWare after Veilguard didn't do particularly well in terms of profits and critical reception. We also got a big update on the TV series. It's not going to be an adaptation of the original trilogy as originally thought, but an original story set after the events of the trilogy. Now I'm sure most people will be happy, since everyone spare a few like me were fully against the reimagining of the games in live action. And while I would have been intrigued by what they could have done with that, I wasn't against an original story either. The fact that this is set after the original trilogy indicates this could be our first glimpse into the Milky Way after the Reaper War. It could potentially build the foundation for the next Mass Effect, maybe even canonizing some of Mass Effect 3's choices. I bet most won't be on board with that, but I think it would be an interesting way for BioWare to set the stage for Mass Effect 5. With this in mind, I began to rethink the casting calls that were recently leaked. I originally thought the young Colin Farrell with open ethnicity fit the description of male Commander Shepard, while the co-lead female alien requiring prosthetics was probably Liara. The other female providing a parallel narrative from Earth could have been Ashley. The Doug Jones male villain lead sounded like Saren, and the male wrestler type soldier I wasn't sure about. It did sound like James Vega, but he doesn't appear until Mass Effect 3, so I definitely had no clue. Whoever we thought they might be though, this news confirms there are going to be new characters. However, from the clues in the casting calls, we will likely have at least 3 humans, possibly an Asari and a non-human villain, since Doug Jones is well known for playing non-human characters. That's at least what I can gauge from that so far. I'm definitely more excited for the show now, and with the Fallout team in place, I have confidence that this show can be great. It will be interesting to see what they do with the costume and set design, since the production team did an amazing job on Fallout, which I think was harder due to its unique retro futuristic style, whereas Mass Effect has a more familiar futuristic space sci-fi look that should be easier to replicate. Moving on, it initially looked like that was all the information we were getting from N7 Day, until some people pointed out that certain letters in the blog were italicized. When these letters were arranged in the correct order, they spelled URL Krogan N7. At the time, we didn't know what it was, and inputting it into the address bar led to a website containing a guide to Operation Goliath, which was a limited time Mass Effect 3 multiplayer event. Embedded in the HTML code of the blog posts were also some video links related to those multiplayer guides, but that turned out to be a red herring. Thanks to one of the people on X, the UR Krogan N7 text was actually a cipher, eventually decoded to a site with a poster depicting a group of Krogan firing at unseen enemies, with the words Civil War below, which implies to me that the unseen enemies are likely another faction of Krogan, and as we know, the Krogan are always getting themselves into wars and feuds within different clans and other species, as with the Krogan rebellions. At first glance, I thought this was visualizing the nuclear war on Tuchanka that took place thousands of years before the trilogy. But according to Mike Gamble, who answered a user's question on X, this actually represents a future event, meaning it will likely be referenced in Mass Effect 5 and maybe even in the TV series. This only makes me wonder about what has changed since curing the genophage in Mass Effect 3. We left Rex and Eve at the end of Priority Tuchanka, promising to make everything more peaceful, uniting the clans and rebuilding Tuchanka into a better place. That was further implied in the extended cut endings of Mass Effect 3, showing glimpses of what it looks like after defeating the Reapers, no matter which ending you chose. But with this civil war, it seems something has been undone. This is exactly what the Solarian Dalatras and pretty much most of the council feared. Could we now be witnessing the consequences of the heroic actions Shepard took during Mass Effect 3, despite them being necessary due to the Reaper threat? That's something to consider. After all, not everyone was in favour of the genophage being cured, especially the Solarians, except Mordin. And there was probably more backlash from other species, just that the Reapers were distracting from that and they had no other choice. Looking closely at the poster though, we can see that the armor is pretty much standardized across all the Krogan, meaning they're probably from the same faction. All of them except one are masked, which raises more questions because in N7 Day 2022 we also saw a Turian wearing a mask. And this connection is even more interesting because what has happened to the Milky Way since the Reaper War? Has Reaper tech caused something to change in the planet atmospheres, or is something else looming like a virus or plague in Mass Effect 2? Not everyone is wearing one though, and that only adds to the mystery. The weapons resemble those found in Mass Effect 3, specifically the Executioner and Argos weapons. According to some fans who examined this, these weapons aren't from a distant Mass Effect future. They were only seen in Mass Effect 3, not even Andromeda had them. This could imply this event took place not long after the Reaper War, although that doesn't necessarily mean Mass Effect 5 will be set in that same time frame. This event could simply be referenced in the game, adding depth to the lore if Mass Effect 5 is set hundreds of years later to align with Mass Effect Andromeda. The unmasked Krogan is obviously the protagonist of the poster, and many people believe it to be an older version of Grunt, but I wouldn't think so. This Krogan looks to be about the same age as Drac in Andromeda, and if Grunt were that old, then ME5 would have to be set much further in the future than it probably is. Liara from the trailer doesn't appear older than that, so I don't believe it's Grunt. It could be Drac, but again he's in Andromeda, and the weapons, as I said before, appear similar to those in Mass Effect 3. So the only other answer could be that it's an older Rex or simply a new character. Regardless of who it ends up being, this event is going to be very significant in Mass Effect 5, which brings us to the next point. Mike Gamble posted a tweet following all the chaos saying, "Everything you've seen from all N7 days will connect." This is huge because it means that if we connect the dots, it shows how big the plot of the next game might be. We have Geth, a mysterious crater, a new crew and ship, a mass relay seemingly under construction by humans, Liara and the Geth potentially communicating about the Council and human defiance, Ilium and Omega possibly returning as settings, a mysterious N7 character, Angara, more Geth, and now the Krogan embroiled in some kind of civil war. In my opinion, this suggests that someone is attempting to turn the Milky Way into a galactic battlefield once again, with Andromeda somehow involved. I really hope BioWare can pull this off, because if they do, this game could mark a true return to form and set the stage for the future of the franchise. We will likely still be speculating about this for a while, at least until the next N7 day comes around. Hopefully by then, Mass Effect 5 will be in full production or making significant progress, since BioWare has confirmed they are fully focused on that game and nothing else. This is also probably the best time to be a sci-fi gamer, with Exodus and the Expanse of Osiris Reborn likely releasing before Mass Effect 5 to keep us occupied. Both games are heavily inspired by Mass Effect. Exodus Studio Archetype even has several former BioWare vets like Drew Karpyshyn working on it, and Owlcat's Expanse game takes clear inspiration from Mass Effect's gameplay while being set in the universe of the popular sci-fi show. I'm looking forward to all of these and will be eating good when they all release in due time. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe and smash the bell button, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Don't you think you've seen enough?